Hello, welcome to this time English News Service. I am Reza Qasemi with the top stories, but first headlines. The International Security Assistance Force ISAF in Afghanistan said most of the incidents in Afghan highways, especially in central highland highways, have not been broadcasted by medias. The United States handed control of the biggest US-run prison in Afghanistan to the Afghan government on Monday in a formal ceremony. And 3 days of flash flooding and torrential rain has killed at least 78 people and damaged thousands of homes in northern Pakistan. News in detail. The International Security Assistance Force ISAF in Afghanistan said most of the incidents in Afghan highways, especially in central highland highways, have not been broadcasted by medias. General Gunter Katz, the ISAF spokesman, in a press conference in Kabul said the ensuring of security situation in the highways are the most important issues for Afghan government and the NATO forces. Mr. Katz added the ISAF force is trying to secure the main highways in Afghanistan, especially the central highland highways.
Actually, there was an article about a highway I think yesterday in the newspaper. So our assessment is that, first of all, the main highways, in particular the highway your colleague was talking about, is used every day by thousands of Afghans, normally there are no incidents on those highways then. And the journalists didn't encounter any incident neither. And we believe that those highways actually improved the life of the Afghan population by boosting trade and by giving them the increased possibility to stay in contact with their families and the communities.
General Katz stated NATO will continue its engagement in Afghanistan, mostly in section of training of Afghanistan National Security Forces, advising and assistance mission. It comes that on Sunday the Taliban militants killed 6 innocent people in Jalriz district of central Maidan Wardak province. The United States handed control of the biggest US-run prison in Afghanistan to the Afghan government on Monday in a formal ceremony. After months of wrangling, the two sides signed an agreement in March this year for the transfer of the prison into Afghanistan control. The agreement stated that the United States has veto power over which detainees can be released from Bagram, which is believed to hold many suspected Taliban fighters.
During the handover ceremony at Bagram airfield north of capital Kabul, the Afghan acting defense minister Inayatullah Nazari said they were proud. Nazari added, "We are very proud today to witness a great ceremony here in which the responsibility of all the Afghan prisoners will be handed from foreign forces to Afghan security troops." He added, "Our Afghan security forces are well trained and we are happy that today they are exercising their capability and taking the responsibility of prisoners independently and guarding the prisoners, and we are taking the responsibility from foreign forces." Colonel Robert Tavadash, a U.S. commander of task forces at the base, said over 3,000 Afghan detainees had been transferred into Afghan custody. Robert Tavadash added, "We transferred more than 3,000 Afghan detainees into your custody at an expedient rate and ensured that those who would threaten the partnership of Afghanistan and coalition forces will not return to the battlefield."
We transferred more than 3,000 Afghan detainees into your custody at an expedient rate and ensured that those who would threaten the partnership of Afghanistan and coalition forces would not return to the battlefield. I would like to personally thank and recognize the efforts of the Afghan National Army soldiers and their leaders for quick manning of the housing units, receiving the transferred detainees, and taking over the kitchen facility.
Afghanistan, which had long sought over the control of Bagram prison, says in the past no sovereign country could allow thousands of its people to be held indefinitely under foreign guard. Washington fears the prisoners, most of whom it says are made to high-level members of the Taliban, might return to the battlefield, as has happened in the past, citing the case of a Taliban commander transferred from Guantanamo Bay to Afghan custody in 2007, who ended up fighting coalition forces again. Both sides have said about 50 foreign detainees at the prison will remain under U.S. custody.
At least 15 people were killed and 25 others were injured in a massive bomb detonated by a suicide attacker in northern Kunduz province on Monday afternoon. Provincial Deputy Police Chief Colonel Mohammad Farda said the bomber drove a car and targeted officers who had gathered to provide security for a demonstration. The police chief added more security forces had arrived and in the area, and the injured have been taken to hospitals. The toll may rise after local hospital officials have said that at least 35 people have been brought to the hospital, both dead and wounded, while MSF said it has received at least 25 people dead and wounded at its medical facility in the city. The high number of casualties appear to be both because of the size of the bomb combined with the crowded area. The checkpoint was near a busy bazaar. Following the continuation of censorship in media poll and talking to the head of Secretariat of Parliament, the correspondents and the mass media representatives decided not to broadcast decisions of Parliament until the censorship continues in the media poll. The decision comes after the failure of head of Secretariat of Parliament in convincing the media reporters about the continuation of censorship at the media poll. The reporters say that according to the Constitution and law of media, having access to information is the right of media, and they will boycott broadcasting decisions of Parliament until the censorship continues. Some members in the lower house of Parliament called the censorship in media poll as an illegal act and against the law and freedom of expression in the country, and have announced their support for the reporters by hunger strike. After protesting several times against the censorship in media poll of lower house of Parliament and getting no result about the issue, the reporters decided not to broadcast the meetings inside the Parliament. Some Taliban figures are ready to negotiate a comprehensive peace deal involving a long-term US military presence in Afghanistan, but will not accept Hamid Karzai's government.
Citing a report to be published by the Royal United Service Institute, The Guardian reported on Monday the Taliban was determined to make a decisive break with Al-Qaeda as a part of a settlement and was open to negotiation about education for girls. The newspaper said the Taliban would be open to negotiating a ceasefire as a part of a general settlement and also as a break between confidence-building measures and the core issue of the distribution of political power in Afghanistan. Russi said its report entitled Taliban Representative on Reconciliation was based on interviews with 4 unnamed Taliban figures, 2 of whom were ministers in the former Taliban government and are still close to the inner circle of leadership. One interviewee described as a founder member of the Taliban said the group might accept continuing US counter-terrorist operation targeting Al-Qaeda as long as the basis for them were not used as a launching pad for attacks on other countries or for interference in Afghanistan policies. The report said that from the Taliban point of view, any ceasefire would need strong Islamic justification and could not hint at any form of surrender. The Taliban has long been opposed to negotiating with Karzai government and does not recognize Afghanistan's.
Hundreds of people and civil society activists demonstrated in central Bamiyan province on Monday and demanding the recognition and trial of Shakila's murder's perpetrators. According to reports, the protesters chanting slogans urged the judicial institutions to handle the murder case of Shakila as soon as possible. This is the second time over the past 2 months that Bamiyan civil society activists demonstrated against the delaying in deliberation process of Shakila's murder's case. Shakila was killed 6 months ago in Bamiyan inside Sayyid Wahid Behishti's house. Behishti, who belongs to Afghan Arab community, is a member of Bamiyan Provincial Commission. Bamiyan Judicial Institution still has not succeeded to recognize and detain the perpetrators. The family members of Shakila claimed that Behishti has killed Shakila, but Wahid Behishti has refused the claim. The watchdog for US spending in Afghanistan says lacks accountability in a $1.1 billion program supplying fuel to the Afghan National Army needs immediate attention before control of the program is turned over to the Kabul government in less than 4 months.
According to a report released on Monday by Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction, John F. Spoko said there is no proof the fuel is actually being used by Afghan security forces for their missions, meaning it is not known how much some fuel has been lost, stolen, or diverted to the insurgency. The report added an audit of the spending is being hampered because someone shredded financial records covering $475 million in fuel payments over more than 4 years, and officials inexplicably couldn't provide complete records for a 5th year. It said there is insufficient justification for the ever-ballooning budget request for fuel that have been made by the command managing NATO's mission to equip and train Afghan forces. Meanwhile, the ISAF spokesman General Gunter Case in Kabul said according to ISAF assessment about this report, there was no fraud.
All fuel issues during that time frame were available and could be affiliated to supporting documents. So what I'm saying is we had all our paperwork done and it was in a proper way. We actually have a system in place where we continue to improve this issue with our Afghan partners, and we make funding recommendations to our Afghan partners based on military requirements. So what I'm saying is we can track all those fuel that's been gone, and we don't see any fraud here.
World news after a short break.
Farda, Rahe zindagi.
Welcome back. 3 days of flash flooding and torrential rain has killed at least 78 people and damaged thousands of homes in northern Pakistan.
A spokesman for the country's National Disaster Management Authority said heavy monsoon rains which began falling last week destroyed more than 1,600 houses and damaging another 5,000. The spokesman added a total of 78 people have died and 68 injured in rains and flash floods in the country so far, and the casualties were caused mostly by houses collapsing and people being caught in flood water. The worst hit region was Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, where 32 people died and 26 were injured in several districts. More than 80 houses were totally destroyed and another 4,200 were partially damaged. Meanwhile, a car bomb exploded at a market in northwest of Pakistan, killing at least 10 people and wounding 45 others. The officials said the death toll was likely to climb because many people had been walking along a narrow road beside the market in the town of Parachinor in the Kuram tribal area. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the blast, but the Pakistani Taliban, which is close to Al-Qaeda, has targeted similar attacks in its bid to topple the US-backed government.
And US President Barack Obama continued to court older voters in the crucial state of Florida by turning up the heat on the Medicare debate. He told an audience in Melbourne that his Republican rival's Medicare plan would cost the average American thousands of more dollars and give insurance companies billions in profit. Obama said, "Here is the bottom line. Their voucher plan for Medicare would bankrupt Medicare. Our plan strengthens Medicare, and no American should have to spend their golden years at the mercy of insurance companies."
So here's the bottom line. Their voucher plan for Medicare would bankrupt Medicare. Our plan strengthens Medicare. No American should have to spend their golden years at the mercy of insurance companies. They should retire with the dignity and the respect and the care that they have earned. Yes, we will reform and strengthen Medicare for the long haul, but we'll do it by reducing the cost of health care, not by dumping those costs on to seniors.
He added they should retire with the dignity, the respect, and the care that they have earned. We will inform and strengthen Medicare for the long haul, but we will do it by reducing the cost of healthcare, not by dumping those costs onto seniors. Medicare especially has long been seen as a healthcare issue that changes votes, and that may be especially true in Florida, where seniors make up nearly 30% of the electorate and vote in large numbers. Those all the news. Thanks for joining us.